Let's now go to Addis Ababa, where our colleagues have been following the 29th AU Summit. Beatrice, it's a big day at the AU headquarters. What should we expect?
Details are still sketchy as to
Yes, indeed, Penina, it's a big day here at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa. Now, after the preliminary discussions by the Executive Council, the heads of state and government are set to make their deliberations on what will be setting the agenda moving forward for the next 6 months. Now, the African Union chairperson, Faki Mahamat, has been addressing the opening ceremony, which is currently ongoing here at the African Union headquarters. And he has made a major push for peace and security issues, as well as reforming the African Union reforms, of which there was a closed session this morning headed by President Kagame of Rwanda. Now, generally though, Penina, the theme of the summit is harnessing the demographic dividend through investment in the youth. And this has been described as a milestone in empowering the youth of Africa. Well, let's bring you up to speed with what's been going on here this morning. Now, the 29th African Union Assembly has started in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. Close to 20 heads of states and governments, as well as many more heads of delegations from African Union member states, are attending the summit. The meeting kicked off with a closed session in which President Paul Kagame of Rwanda delivered his report on institutional reforms at the African Union and an execution roadmap. In 2016, President Kagame was tasked with leading a reform process of the African Union with the intention of transforming it into a self-reliant continental organization by the year 2018. Now, this two-day high-level summit is also expected to address issues of peace and security, migration, and youth empowerment under the summit's theme of harnessing the demographic dividend through investment of the youth. Well, CGTN's Robert Nagila has been following the opening ceremony, and basically what's been going on here at the African Union this morning. He's joining me now with more of the highlights of today. And of course, as mentioned, the opening ceremony is currently ongoing. Robert, what's been the highlight, or what are the highlights of the African Union agenda today?
Well, Beatrice, as we speak, the opening ceremony is still ongoing. We do, however, expect it to draw to a close any time from now. Now, among the key highlights was a speech or opening remarks by the President of Guinea, that is President Alpha Conde, followed by a speech by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Now, I believe, if I'm not too wrong, because it's taking place right behind me, there should be a ceremony ongoing at this particular moment where Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is supposed to present a check, a donation to the African Union Foundation. However, details are still sketchy. When we do have more details, we will get back to you with those. Now, immediately after this, the leaders will then break for lunch. And in the afternoon at about 2:30, 3 p.m. thereabouts, they will then gather again at the Nelson Mandela Plenary Hall, which is right behind me, for a session on HIV/AIDS. Now, once that is over, they will then retreat for some side meetings and bilateral meetings between the leaders themselves. And then we do expect a press briefing at about between 4 and 5 p.m. on Somalia and the AMISOM mission itself. Beatrice?
Right, Robert Nagila will be following all the developments throughout the day and over the next 2 days. And as he has mentioned, of course, peace and security issues are topping the agenda here. The African Union Commission Chair has made this a special focus during his opening remarks at the opening ceremony currently ongoing. The focus is on Somalia, South Sudan, the Sahel region, and the Lake Chad basin, where, of course, we have seen insurgencies from Boko Haram. And still at the African Union, of course, the Peace and Security Commission met this morning with foreign ministers from troop contributing countries discussing an exit strategy for AMISOM, rehearting that exit strategy for AMISOM, and inadequate resources for the AMISOM troops, and as well as whatever other support may be required. Take a look.
Well, we're going to issue a communique today, basically, underlining the need for that down the line. And the review had recommended that we would draw down 1,000 troops by the end of this year. By the end of the middle of next year, maybe another 1,000 troops from all the contributing countries, by the way. And there are many of us, as you saw. But that is still not a given. It's a recommendation that was made. We're going to include that in the communique that is that is issued today to say that this is the way that we are thinking, and that at the end of the day, the intention was to stabilize Somalia, and at some point, exit, and allow Somalia then to move on.